So yeah, my name is Vulkan. I'm from Jurassic Finance. We're tokenizing dinosaurs, and we're the most successful raise on futarchy on the permissionless platform. And I mean, very, very simple. Tokenizing dinosaur, we allow anyone to invest in the most gated asset class in history for over 50 million years. So yeah, let's get started. Why dinosaurs? So the biggest sale ever, there's actually going to be an even bigger one next week in New York. They dug out a massive T-Rex. But the biggest one ever was Apex the Stegosaurus. It was supposed to be 4 million at Sotheby's, and it sold at over 44 million, which is really crazy, an 11x. The reason why you can still get these type of like 11x opportunity in such a big asset is because no one can really buy a dinosaur. If you want to enter the market, the cheapest fossil that's like pretty cool that you want to buy is between $500,000 to 1 million. And if you want to spend $1 million on some bones, you probably need to have a net worth of like 20, 30, 50, 100 million to be able to do that. So what we do is we launched our ownership coin on MetaDAO. And we act sort of as a hedge fund for dinosaurs. So we're going to be having continuous raises, SPVs that get formed. And then each SPV will specifically hold each dinosaur. So you, by owning each specific token, you own each specific dinosaur. We're starting with a Triceratops head, but I'm going to get into that in a second. So going back to why dinosaurs, again, you need to have very big net worth that you wanna invest in a dinosaur, keep it for some time, and obviously the returns are there, but it's a super reserved asset class. No one can really get into it if you don't have that type of capital. So we're using MetaDAO and the Solana ecosystem to crowd invest and crowd fund these fossils. The idea is we just launched the ownership coin. We're going to have our first Triceratops in a few weeks. We're going to acquire it. We're going to put it in a museum. And after a few years, it's going to appreciate. I mean, it's supposed to appreciate in value. And then after a few years, we're open to futarchy proposals where anyone that wants to acquire the dinosaur will give us an offer. We run as a proposal. And if it passes, then we can sell it off, or maybe the traders think that it's better for us to keep the dinosaurs and wait for a better offer. So that's also a possibility. So we're essentially buying dinosaurs and allowing futarchy to then govern all of them. A little bit more in detail how that works. So RAR was the ownership coin, and essentially it's just a vehicle with which we're doing everything. We raised 200K from 15 million commitments. And that's enough for about 12 to 18 months of runway for us, because the costs are not that massive. And how do we make money? Well, we're going to do our first Triceratops. It's a little bit older slide, but it's going to be 660K. Out of that, the treasury on MetaDAO is going to get 10%. So 60K is going back to the treasury. And then another 5% of the tokens, there's going to be 1 million tokens issued. And when people claim, the treasury is also going to get 5% of the tokens, so 50K. And then we're going to have in the treasury another 60K of revenue, another 50K tokens, and we're going to put those together and create a revenue generating asset. So liquidity, lending, working with other projects in the ownership and the MetaDAO ecosystem to be able to enable this. And the reason why RAR is so bullish is because every next raise, which is going to be bigger and bigger and bigger. Now this is 660K. Let's say we want to do a T-Rex for 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million. The costs don't go up with the revenue because it's just a difference of the size of the specimen. But we don't need to, our costs don't scale as the revenue scales because it's just a better type of asset. I'm also going to give some alpha, which is we're doing the first Triceratops now, but much cooler than that is the next thing we're working on is partial tokenization. So we're talking with someone who has the biggest Triceratops head in Europe, and it's 2 different family offices that own it. So what we're going to try to do is tokenize only 50% of it by tokenizing the contractual rights to half of the dinosaur. And then essentially that's going to unlock so much, because then anyone that has a dinosaur that's illiquid, they can turn it into a revenue generating asset. And then beyond that, much cooler is going to be investing in dig sites. So imagine we invest, we crowdfund like 5 million to buy a dig site. That's like 60% done. It's a long process. It takes some years, but then you can get 10x from what you get in the actual dig site, because you can get some crazy dinosaur or some super rare bones, send it off to an auction, and then it's really uncapped how much it can go. So that's three different things that we're doing. And yeah, RAR launched on MetaDAO. Also, as of last week, JurassicFi, right after Avicii, is the best performing coin since ICO. That's some of the stats. So the reason why we took 200K, I guess I'll talk a little bit about our specific raise. And also giving some tips. We chose to do as little as possible to be able to run this for 12 to 18 months. That was for us 200K. Also, something fantastic that Renga said when we were talking on our panel right here is that what a really good founder does is he gets attention constantly and over time. And what MetaDAO allows you to do is you get this attention, you get these crazy numbers on Twitter. That's what we did. We essentially got 15 million from four Twitter posts, 4 short 30 seconds videos. We were able to get a lot of attention. And the reason why we really got so much in commitments is because we had all of that attention. Before the raise started, we went and did pre-commitments. So anyone that wants to raise on Futardio, the most important thing that I would say is you need to have pre-commitments. I would say at least 50%. If we're seeing like 5 teams raised on Futardio, 4 of those raised very, very little. And I don't know if they had pre-commitments, but they were under 50K. And then we got 200K that we took in, but we had a 50% in pre-commitments. And for anyone that also wants to raise a nice amount, a big amount, like at least 6-figure, they need pre-commitments. Because you get all this crazy hype. And then if you, on the first day, don't have a big amount, then it's going to look really, really, really bad, because then people are going to think you bought at your engagement. You're going to really fall in a hole. So really important is that when you do have that attention, it's just speculation, it's just Twitter numbers. You need to use that to get your pre-commitments, need to use that to get some money in, and then you need to get those people to deploy on the first day. So what we did is we got 2-week campaign, got a lot of motion, a lot of traction, and then we just cold called pretty much everyone in our Telegram chats. We talked to all the different funds, and we just needed to get a specific, like any number that we can count on, that on the first day, on the first hour of the raise, I'm gonna bug you until you put that in, because we need to show that we had this in crazy traction, and then in the first hour, already 50% was done. In the first 3 hours, our raise was completed, and the first 24 hours, we had 2 million. And thanks to that, we were able to end up with 15 million, because when you already pass the threshold of the raise, it's gonna be like 1,000 times easier to get 10 million, because after that it's like kind of fake money because people get the refunds, but it's really, really, really important for your marketing later on. Another thing I want to say is, if you're doing a launch on Futardio, I really haven't heard any really good reason on why you shouldn't take 50% of the performance package. We took 50%, and there was like no reason really not to do that. And also another benefit, I guess, of Futardio is that if you launch on MetaDAO, you are very, you're not really limited, but you're curated. So people are going to look into absolutely everything, your revenue numbers, your exact number of team performance package and everything. And on Futardio, it's kind of easier, and you're like, okay, we just put 50%, we can easily give it back, but it's a lot more difficult to get a proposal out to get more. And also, like, I don't think teams and people even realize the power of performance package, because we were able to, with our 50%, we gave away 3% to get 3 advisors with the exact same terms as us. So when the team unlocks, advisors also get in. We got 3 crazy advisors that were mainly outside of crypto. One was Tzvi, who does tokenization of whiskeys and rare spirits. We have Rob Petrozzo, who's the founder of Rally, which is the biggest Web2 company of investing in alternative assets and cultural assets. And then we also got another one, which is called Yinan Wang. He's been 30 years in paleontology, and he kind of is very connected in the dinosaur market. And all we had to give is 3% of our 50% of the performance package. So another massive tip is definitely use the performance package to your advantage. And always take as much as you can, because there's really no reason not to if you're launching on Futardio. Now, the reason why dinosaurs is mainly my co-founder is a massive fan of dinosaurs. And also dinosaurs are like very easy to sell, because when you were a kid, probably most of us was really big fan of dinosaurs. You had dinosaur underwear, socks, you watched the in the cinema or in TV, you play with dinosaurs. and now you're older and you're very nostalgic about the past, but you have a lot more money, and these dinosaurs are still cool. And now they're not just a toy or a movie. Now they're like the best performing asset out of any asset class. So we started with dinosaurs because it's like easy to sell and very easy to understand. But that's just a proof of concept. Sora, my co-founder, he loves dinosaurs. I'm like, okay, they're cool. But what I like history stuff. I like cultural assets. So what I said here is like war memorabilia, Michael Jackson shoes, or like Mbappe's World Cup winning boots. That's what I'm really interested in, because the kind of the big wide vision is with AI. I don't believe that young people and like young founders that are making more and more money, more and more people that are making money are young people, and they spend it on like watches and cars and this kind of bullshit. And now with AI, like anyone can kind of AI generate a picture of them. If you wanted to like get with a girl 15 years ago, you had to rent a car and then take pictures for your Tinder, and then you can go on the date with a car. Now you don't have to do that. You can just AI generate and then just rent the car for one day. So what that tells me is that over time, these kind of bullshit assets are just going to go down because anyone can own it. But cultural assets, on the other hand, like dinosaurs or this stuff that's like 101, I feel like it's going to be much, much, much bigger in a few years, because it's not going to be cool to own another Lambo or another Rolex. You want to own something that no one else can own. And people don't really care about money. They care about status. And the car or the watch gives you the status. But if everyone can just AI generate a picture with a watch, I don't think it's cool anymore. But if you have, I don't know, like a Napoleon hat or like a sword from the Crusades era that's like $10 million, I think that's a lot more cooler. And I think that that's what people are going to think is cooler. But really quickly, want to get back to me and Sora. So Sora has been 3 years in marketing in a RWA project that used to do tokenizing farmland commodities on Ethereum. Super cool, but was just way too early. Well, it was like in 2021 and just failed. I run my own marketing agency, and of course, I work with 8-Bit on ownership media. And again, our advisors, which I already mentioned. It's just 5 of us, and when we want to scale and get more assets, we really don't need to hire more, because you have these 2 like ADHD energy-powered kids, and then you have these 3 like icons, all in their own segment. So Rob Petrozo, as I said, he's in collectibles and alternative assets. Tzvi, he's been in Solana, and he does tokenization or RWAs. And then, of course, Sinan Wang has been in paleontology for like 30 years. So we have kind of like a perfect team. And now what we're doing is Deaton. Deaton is going to be our first dinosaur. We're raising 660K. So 60K goes to the treasury, and another 50K tokens go to the treasury, and then we're going to turn that into revenue generating asset, and then the treasury is going to keep making more money. So if you want to support a MetaDAO project, if you want to invest in a dinosaur, I have probably all of your names in my phone in a CRM, and I need an answer from every single person of you want to put $1, $5, $1,000. But right now, just as we did for the RAR, for the ownership coin raise, we're getting pre-commitments, and we have a set number that we want to get to. And once we get to that number, then we're going to go public with the rest of the tokens. So that's my presentation. Thank you for your time, and let's talk.
Thanks, Vulkan. Oh, quick question.
Yeah, so first, I mean, all 3 of them reached out to us, actually. Tsuvi was first, and he's tokenizing rare whiskeys and shit, so he already knows kind of everything. He connected us with Rob Petrozzo, and he kind of does what we're doing, but in Web 2 and in a very, like, they're SEC regulated. So it's in a regulated way, and they do it a little bit different. So he kind of, from our talks, he wanted from day one in his company, he wanted to build Jurassic Finance, but he couldn't because you didn't have like Solana and you didn't have MetaDAO, and you had to be regulated if you don't want to do it on crypto. So for him, it's like he saw his vision come true on Jurassic, so it was pretty easy. And then he just connected us with Yinan, which he worked with Rob and with Rally for some years with the dinosaur sourcing. And I mean, when he vouched us, it was pretty easy as well. So that's kind of how we got them in. Also, like the foundation had a similar question, like the same question, because they were like, how the hell you get these people on Solana? And they didn't even like, we didn't even tell them that much about the crypto. We just said, yeah, we're like crowd investing into dinosaurs. This is how we're doing it. Thanks to MetaDAO. This is how MetaDAO works. And we just had on Ownership Media, we just had a forum, we just had a report with the advisors, and like just 1 month in being in the ecosystem, they're like mega bullish on MetaDAO. And yeah, I mean, you did the great job because they saw what you built and they love it. And that's where they backed us.